Hi everyone, I'm Janie, and behind me is the most beautiful Montana blue sky you will ever see. But today's video is not about the sky. Today I'm going to tell you an undeniably true testimony of the day that God saved my life, and that day was July 1st of 2023. Before I share that testimony, there may be some of you that were thinking this is going to be a testimony of my salvation. And so I thought I would share that as well. So I was raised in a Christian home. My mother was a Sunday school teacher and youth leader. So we were in church every time the doors were open. And we sat in the front row of the church, which made it a little difficult to fall asleep, even though I did anyway sometimes. I was young. And one of my favorite things to do was after church stand next to our pastor and while he was greeting, everyone as they were leaving. So basically, that's all I knew. I knew God, I knew Jesus, I knew the Holy Spirit, and that was my life. But when I was 7 years old, I knew that I wanted to publicly accept Jesus Christ as my Savior and get baptized. And from then on, well, actually, from my entire life, my faith in God has been strong, my beliefs have been strong, and well, here I am today. Okay, now that I've told you a little bit about my background, I'm now going to tell you about the day that God saved my life. And even though that day was July 1st of 2023, it actually started about 2 years before that. My husband and I owned a growing trucking company and we needed a new driver. And Tim, who a lot of you may have heard me talk about, Tim applied for the job. And Tim and his wife did not even live in Montana at that time. And even though he had a CDL, which is a trucking driver's license, he was not working as a truck driver at that time. But for some weird reason, he was willing to move to Montana to work for us. And he quickly became my husband's best friend. In fact, my husband used to say that he wished he could clone him. And anyways, a few months later, 4 or 5 months later, my husband died. We're not going to get into that. That's a whole other story. But when that happened, we had one truck driver that quit, and a few months later, another one quit. And I had just been learning how to run the trucking company, and it was too difficult dealing with the loss of my husband and dealing with stupid truck drivers. And I'm not saying truck drivers are stupid. I'm saying the ones I'd been dealing with were stupid. But Tim stayed on, and he helped me keep the trucking business going well enough to make the payments on the trucks and the trailers and get some of it sold. And he was there for me if I needed him. If I got snowed in, he'd plow me out. And I was really thankful for Tim. And so, jumping ahead, July 1st of 2023, Tim was supposed to pick up a load. But the person we were picking it up for was having trouble wiring the money to the person that we were picking it up from. And so because of that, the load was postponed to the following week. And so instead of Tim leaving that day, he was here, and he was actually at my house out on the property. I don't remember if he was working on his truck or working on my deck, but I was in my craft room, and I was trying really hard to focus on crafting. In fact, I can remember that I was working on a box I was designing and wanting to get all of the measurements right so that I could make a YouTube video. yeah, that ended up getting destroyed. But, anyways, and I'm laughing about it now, and it's not really funny. But, anyways, Tim was outside. It was really windy. And that's one of the reasons why I was trying to focus on my crafting, because when it's really stormy out, I like something to distract me. So, anyways, the wind blew Tim's hat off and blew it between the garage and a trailer, and he ran to grab that, and basically that saved him to get him in that spot. So God blew his hat off for a reason, and he turned around just in time to see the windstorm hit my house and rip the roof off. And he immediately came running in to get me out. But I'm going to back up right now. Okay? So I'm in the house in my craft room, right? And the lights went off and on. And that kind of scared me, made me uncomfortable. I would not have left my craft room if Tim wasn't out there. But I knew he was out there, and so I wanted to go tell him that the lights went off and on. And so I left the craft room, and I probably was maybe 3 feet outside of the craft room door, 6 feet at the most, when suddenly a big wind blew past me. Everything got to be kind of a darkish bluish color, and it looked like snow blowing past me. And I thought a blizzard, yeah, on July 1st, I thought a blizzard had burst through my craft room window and was blowing past me. And when I was finally able to turn around, I was looking at sky.
This is what I saw when I turned around. Of course, these pictures were taken later, but I had been standing right there at my craft table. Had I not left the room when I did, I could have been knocked out by the ceiling falling and buried under 2.5 feet of powdered insulation, suffocating. Had that happened, and had Tim not been here, I would have died for sure. This next picture is my other craft room that used to be my daughter's bedroom. And this last little video clip here was taken when Tim and I were trying to get things out of the house, and the ceiling just kept falling in. Thankfully, none of us were in the kitchen when that happened.
So I was totally freaked out, terrified, in shock, probably screaming, running in circles, not knowing, do I go outside? Do I stay inside? What do I do? Where do I go? Oh my God, the sky, the roof's gone. I mean, okay, all of these things, just use your imagination. I was totally freaking out. Okay, so let's get back to Tim. Tim is running to the house to come and save me, and the wind literally blew him across the deck. But he got in the house and grabbed me and kept telling me, I have to get you out of here. I have to get you out of here. And I think he almost had to carry me out almost. But he got me out of the house and into the garage, and I was freaking out, wanting to know where my dog Zach was. And he was able to get Zach, and we got in the garage and called 911. Okay, now I'm going to go through that story a little bit differently. Maybe even backing up here a little bit, I don't know. But basically, had God not brought Tim to us, Tim would not have been there that day. Had there not been a glitch with the guy wiring the money to the other guy, Tim would have been gone, out on the road. So, 2 things. God did bring Tim to us. And God made there be a glitch on that money being transferred. Even the guy that we were going to be picking it up from, he said the same thing. He says that was God, because there was no reason that money shouldn't have gone through. He said that was God. Everybody that has been a part of this knows it was God. And so Tim was there. And the light went off and on so that I would leave the room. And Tim was here, so I would go tell Tim. Tim was here to help. Tim's hat blew off to get him out of harm's way. There is nothing about that day that doesn't shout God. That God was there, God was a part of that the entire way. And, now you're maybe wondering, well, if God was there, then why did your house get blown away? Okay, so that's a good question. Was the house getting blown away and God did everything to save everybody? Did God allow the windstorm to hit my house? And if he did, why would he do that? So many questions. But it actually turned out to be a good thing that windstorm blew the roof off my house and destroyed my house. And you're like going, what in the world was good about that? Well, a few things. Okay, so one of the things left me totally upset and constantly saying, nothing's ever going to be the same again. Nothing is ever going to be the same again. And it was devastating. But I think it was a good thing in the end. My husband had died a year and a half earlier, and I didn't want to change anything. His office was left exactly like he left it. His dirty clothes were exactly where he left them. His work overalls were laying by the back door exactly where he had left them. And I wasn't supposed to move on, but I was supposed to move forward. I wasn't supposed to just live in that world, making it all stand still when he died. When it had been 1 year, I actually tried to move some of his things and realized I couldn't do that. Up until we put a new door on this house, there was a Post-it note on there to remind my husband to, hello, Zachy, I love you too. It's my little Zach. But there was a Post-it note to remind him of things to take with him when he would leave on the road if he left, way early in the morning before I was awake. But anyways, when this windstorm hit, it forced me to accept things. It forced me to move forward. It was like God or my husband saying, honey, it's time, okay? It's time. So I guess that is one thing that came out of it. Another thing that came out of it, which is kind of what most people see, is, okay, so the house ended up to be so destroyed that everything above 8 feet had to come off. And the drywall had to be removed from the walls so that the electrician can get to all the wiring. All the flooring had to come out. Basically, the house had to be gutted and rebuilt with the 4 walls that were there. And we lived in a log home. A lot of you said, oh, you live in a log cabin. Here, hold on. This is upstairs above the garage. I am actually sitting on the stairs here. This is the garage behind me. Here, hold on a second. I'll turn around. I don't want to make anybody dizzy. But hold on. Close your eyes if you have to. Okay, you can open them. Notice my house is no longer a log home. Okay, so we live on 6 acres. And my husband had plans on building me a new house right over there on our property. And he died before he got that chance. And it was not going to be a log home because honestly, I don't like log homes. Not my style. We got this home because my husband loved it, and I wanted my husband to have anything he wanted. I love that man so much. If he wanted it, he could have it. And that's how we ended up in a log home. But anyways, so basically what has happened and what everybody else has also commented on is I'm now getting the house he was going to build me. So it's not exactly the same, but the logs are now covered up with siding on the outside and drywall on the inside. And I have a pantry now. I have a nice big closet in my bedroom. There's just been a lot of changes, a lot of openness to my new house. um, but now I have the house that my husband was going to build me. And since my husband and Tim had become best friends and they had already had plans on building a shop together, I know that they would have been building my house together. And Tim is the one that is building my house and doing a fabulous job with it. It is amazing. And so that is a good thing that came out of this. Oh, I forgot to tell you one other thing. Also, we found out that this house had been so poorly built, the roof had been put on all wrong, which is most likely why it blew off so easily. Um, so it's actually a good thing because now I'm in a house that is much sturdier, that is well built, that isn't going to go anywhere. And so now I'm safer. So I guess those are the positive things that came out of God allowing this house to be blown away. Is I'm in a safer house. I am in a house that I love, that my husband would have built for me. And you know what? My husband is still in that house with me. His memories are still there. I look at that house and it's like, hey, honey, this is the house you were going to build me. And I'm staying on this property. And so I'm still surrounded by him. And so that really didn't get completely taken away from me when all this happened. So that is my undeniably true testimony of the day that God saved my life. And not only did he save my life, but he gave me new things and the ability to not get stuck in the past. I can still hold on to the past and all of the memories and never let them go, but I just don't have to be stuck in that one day. So he saved my life in more than one way. I can honestly say that that is not the only time that God saved my life. And I can say that he has probably saved my life countless times that I didn't even know about. And the same goes for all of you. I think you should thank God every day that you wake up that he has saved your life. Because you never know. You know those times when you're upset because you've been delayed by something and you were supposed to be somewhere? Maybe that was God saving your life that day. There's all kinds of things that you may think, why did this happen? But maybe it happened for a good reason. So I thank God every day for saving my life, and I hope you do too. Have a blessed day, everyone. Bye-bye.